Howdy, y'all. You're tuning into Geaux Howdy, the Southern Sports Talk podcast with Jerry.
Get rid of Brian Kelly. He's not a good fit at LSU. This is exactly what we expected. Fools.
Cody.
He's efficiently good at not getting first down.
And Kyle.
It was like any minute somebody was just going to rip the mask off and their Jimbo was going to pop out like, haha, here I am.
A big old go happy to all the spectators out there. Welcome to week, if we count it up, that would be 1, 2, 3. Today marks the start of the third week of college football. Before we get started, guys, I know we don't really do this a whole lot, but I would be amiss if we didn't talk about some of the most current events happening in the world. It's really unfortunate that we live in a world where when people disagree with each other, the result is what happened to Charlie Kirk. Thoughts and prayers to his family. It's a really, really sad day. I know for a fact that he may have closed his eyes here on earth, but when he opened his eyes the next time, he heard, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." And, we can just know that we know where he's at today because of all the works that he did. So shout out, Charlie. It's very unfortunate. As a man with kids myself, I can't imagine. But
also
That's
really
where we're
sucks.
starting her. Sorry.
I was just going to say, it really sucks for, all those people, too, that had to witness that. That was a very gruesome thing to have happen. And, of course, the internet does what the internet does and clips the most grotesque things humanity has to offer and puts it on display for everyone. So I hope to do something about that. We don't need to be watching that over and over again. People don't need to be exposing this stuff. He has kids. He has a family. They don't need to relive that even accidentally anymore. So that just blows my mind how quickly it became gore, sought after gore. And that's just, as a country, we got to do better. In every single realm, we got to do better.
I mean, it's a great example as to yeah, Cody and I, especially this week, we may go tit for tat with each other, or like how Dwight Schrute says it in The Office, tit for tit. We may hate each other on the gridiron and for the teams, but in the end, I don't feel ill towards him or feel ill towards you with being an Aggie fan. Can we just live, But
that's the thing, too. It's just forgetting people are people sometimes,
exactly.
And that, letting things bring your emotions to levels, it's just crazy, dude. I can't. And then we're all at the edge of our seat waiting to see what happens with this one, but, if it's anything like the last assassin they had with the CEO of that company,
mm-hmm.
I'm sure they're on to him.
I think.
And we'll probably have an answer at some point.
Yeah. But I agree, Kyle. We just need to continue praying and just remembering that we're all stuck on this earth together. Let's try to make it as good as we can.
it's senseless and just, yeah. Anyway, thoughts and prayers to the Kirk family and to everybody that is being affected by that. But, gentlemen, let's get into what people tune in to listen to us for, and that is our absurd and sometimes hilarious college football takes. Week 3 in the SEC. We are still, unfortunately, having some of these cupcake games, so let me just knock out a couple real quick. I don't even know that we really need to say too much about them, but we're going to have Eastern Michigan taking on University of Kentucky. Kentucky is a 24.5 point favorite in that one. We've got Alcorn taking on Mississippi State. There's actually no spread on that one, so if that tells you anything, they're expecting a blowout there. Auburn and South Alabama. Auburn is favored by 24.5 on that one. And then finally, Texas is going to take on UTEP. Texas being almost a 42-point favorite in that one. So those should all be pretty straightforward games there. I don't think we need to spend too much on those. A couple interesting ones, though. We've got OU and Temple. OU is favored by 23. Temple kept that game close last year in Oklahoma. But with the way that they're clicking right now, I don't see that one being a close game. I think.
No, I mean, they're the best team in the SEC right now. They're going to handle it. If there's any point spread that we see so far, that's probably the one that I'm the most comfortable with. I mean, if you look at it, Kentucky 24.5 over Eastern Michigan, I don't believe that. But 23 Oklahoma over Temple, I could put some money on that one. I can agree with that.
Yeah, another interesting one. I want to know, because I wonder if people are like looking at this Bama-Wisconsin game and thinking that Bama is down, or are they SEC down? Are they just down from, not SEC down, are they just Nick Saban down? Like, are we just all kind of warming up to the fact that this team is just a normal team, or does Wisconsin actually keep a chance to keep it within 21? I think within 21 is a pretty good spread, but Wisconsin has looked like a pretty bad program the last few years.
I mean, it's definitely a symptom of like the first couple week kind of issues that we have with almost every team, every football season. You don't know what you get, but I think this is a fantastic test to see what kind of Alabama that we have. Are they going to be able to bounce back and continue to be par for the course that we're expecting Alabama year in and year out? Or is this going to be a loss and their little red flag is starting to be pulled up the flagpole?
That's what I was wondering when it came to the Alabama-Wisconsin game and spread. Did Alabama get this spread just because they blew out ULM last week and everybody's like, oh, okay, there's the Alabama we know. They're back. Like, no need to hit the panic button. Or is it just one of those, because that game, forgive me if I'm wrong, that game was relatively close for a little while last year.
It was a disaster for Wisconsin. I think they got 50 hung up on them last year or something like that.
So according to covers,
Alabama destroyed them last year.
It was 42-10, and Alabama was a 14-point favorite at the time. And that was at Bryant-Denny Stadium, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That was at Wisconsin, and this time it's at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
Yeah, so maybe that's what they're taking into account. They're at home. It seems like they've got to roll in after they kind of hit the reset button against ULM last week. So Mizzou takes on another one of those Louisiana schools, ULL. So Louisiana Lafayette. Mizzou is going to be a 27.5-point favorite on that one. Expect to see Missouri continue to roll as they have been these last couple weeks. I think that's a pretty safe bet there. And then lastly, one that will be interesting, and this is where either YouTube TV or ESPN app is going to come in great with the quad box, because we're going to have A&M Notre Dame, we're going to have LSU Florida, and we're going to have Vandy South Carolina, all in that 6:30, 7:30 kickoff time. So South Carolina will be at home in this game. Vanderbilt traveling over to, why did I just go blank? What's the stadium called at USC?
It's not. No, it's not Bryant.
I feel like
is it Bryant? Something Bryant?
Let's
Williams
see.
Bryce.
Williams Bryce. I knew there's a B in there.
I almost said Willie Beeman again, like I did a couple
Willie Bees
last year.
Great teamwork there, gentlemen.
So Vandy is going to be going to Williams Bryce and Sandstorm, but USC has the 3.5-point favorite in that one. I do want to take a second here and talk about this game. This one's really interesting to me, just because you look at Vanderbilt and you look at South Carolina, both played Virginia Tech. Both completely different outcomes. South Carolina struggled through most of that game, didn't really put Virginia Tech away like we thought they would, and then Vandy struggles in the first half and then absolutely came out and dominated the second half in Lane Stadium against Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech USC was a neutral site game, but Vandy went into Lane Stadium and just absolutely obliterated the Hokies. You got your hand up, go ahead.
I mean, it's an interesting game for sure, because this may be a South Carolina loss. And the only reason I bring that up, not only do you have the comparison team, but if you look, and thank God for a website like covers.com. I mean, godsend of a website. Definitely anyone who is into statistics, you got to look into it.
No free ads.
No free ads indeed. But they show the South Carolina offense versus the Vanderbilt defense and how their current statistics are like. And I'm shocked to say this, gentlemen, Vanderbilt's defense matches more favorably against South Carolina's offense than the other way around. Like, every offensive category is for Vanderbilt. Yards per play, rush yards, rush attempts, pass yards, pass attempts, completions, QB rating. I mean, it's all Vanderbilt. And it's not like they have that big of a difference in the teams that they played in 2 weeks. Like you said, they both played Virginia Tech. You have Vanderbilt that did play Charleston Southern in week 1, but you also have South Carolina playing South Carolina State last week. And so it's essentially a fair trade. It's the most even matchup I think we've had so far this year. And honestly, gentlemen, I think I'm gonna pick Vandy.
Yeah, I'm not falling for this.
We would
I'm not
expect
falling.
nothing less. You and your sweet baby boy Diego.
Yeah, about to say, I'm not falling for this. Vandy is the team that I don't care if they go on an 8-game win streak. I'm gonna bang my head against the wall every time and say they're gonna lose. Like this is a South Carolina team that has great matchups when you look at the players that they have. I don't think Vandy has near the athletes to close this game out. I'm not saying they don't have the coaching or like that South Carolina is so well coached that they're going to run away with this. But I think 3.5 is too low. I would say this is going to be more like a 10-point, 13-point win for South Carolina.
So did you watch the ending of that Vandy Virginia Tech game last week?
No, I'm sorry that I don't get waste disposal live on my televisions.
It's a shame because you would see a tale of two halves with that Vandy Virginia Tech.
Yeah, but Virginia Tech is a very, very down on its luck program. Like
they may be, but
like
they looked complete. They looked complete against South Carolina in week 1, and then just the following week they host Vanderbilt.
Well, hold on, South Carolina pulled away pretty heavy in the fourth quarter against them.
Not really.
Yeah,
not
they
as
did.
Heavy as Vanderbilt.
Didn't they win by like 20?
They won 24-11, but Vanderbilt beat them 44-20.
No,
and it was essentially all second half. Okay.
All right.
If
we'll
Vanderbilt wins, you have to do the next podcast in like the Borat voice.
What are you gonna do for me?
Oh,
name it.
No, I don't like doing bets. You have to come to me. One of my terms for the bet is you have to come up with your own punishment for the bet. So I don't like this. I don't like how someone's like, I'm the one who wants the bet, but you have to do the work to come up with the punishment. No.
Okay. How about this? You know how blind I am, right?
No.
Okay. Well, I'm blind. Like I have double vision, and if I were to take my glasses off now, I can't read anything.
Okay, but I have a solution.
Yeah.
You have to put your... I'll tell you this. You have to gamble on some games and put the picks into a hat and let a blind man pick them out for you if I win.
I don't have a blind friend, but
then I don't want to do
this. I have the second best thing. I have a wife that knows nothing about sports. That's essentially
that could be cheating. I want a blind.
That could be cheating. I want a blind man. You really think Sarah would let me cheat?
You think I'd let the House of Stovall pull this over me?
No House Stovall rules here. Sorry about that. Yeah,
we'll have to think of something, but I feel a bet is needed on this game.
Yeah, just for all the listeners out there, if you're ever going to propose a bet to somebody, the classic mistake is coming in with their punishment and not offering your own. If you come in just empty-handed, like, oh, if I win this bet, you have to do this, there's like a 90% chance the person's just not even interested. It's like, why? Why would I even listen to this?
Why would I go in assuming that I'm going to lose?
Well, why would you think I would agree to a bet where there's my winnings aren't in front of me?
Well, you have to think of something. What is it? Like that is all on you.
Think of the punishment. Let's move on to the next game here. One more in this throwaway category before we jump into the big matchups for this week. And putting in the throwaway category might be a little disrespect by me there, so I apologize for the wording. But we've got Ole Miss traveling to Arkansas to take on the Fighting Razorbacks over there. Covers.com had this one as a 7-point Ole Miss favorite. And
it has now since dropped.
Oh, it has dropped. Okay, lots of money.
6.5. Ole Miss favored.
So I'm getting the 7 because we're in our pick'em group, and I'm putting this on my pick sheet. I'm taking Arkansas plus 7.
I was going to say, doesn't that happen when Vegas is getting way too many bets in the opposite direction?
Yes.
Essentially.
So a lot of people are predicting Arkansas gets this.
Yeah,
or covers?
I think it was maybe 64%. I mean, it seems like it may have changed now, but earlier it was
Whoa.
64% chance for Arkansas to cover the plus.
60% according to covers at the moment.
There you go.
Yeah,
Taking
I have to
Arkansas.
agree.
Taking Arkansas.
Arkansas could start a really deadly slide here for Ole Miss.
I would love to see it, honestly. Like if there's a program out there from birth to now that I just love to see them fail, it's Mississippi. And I absolutely agree with Cody. After that abysmal showing against Kentucky that they had last week, even though it was a win, I'm bullish on Arkansas. Granted, they haven't played anyone. I mean, Alabama A&M and Arkansas State, but they've hung over 50 points and they've held the opponents to less than 14 points. So yeah, I don't only like Arkansas to cover, I like Arkansas to win.
I think it was SEC Mike. He put out a quarterback power ranking, which of course, everybody has an opinion, but he had Taylor Green as the number 1 ranked quarterback in the SEC right now. I don't know if I agree with
Wow.
him, but he's in the top. He's in the top
There's
5.
That has to, that argument needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
I will say this, like there's just something I don't understand how that kid doesn't run like 9 out of 10 plays. He like his feet, he is so quick when he is out of the backfield, like explosive quick. And
For a guy his size too, 6'5",
I know
6'6", somewhere in there. Yeah,
I know he is and he squeaks by people. Like I think Lane Kiffin is a good coach, and they obviously should win this game.
Whoa.
But to feed into my theory that Ole Miss is in a bad way this year, I have to stick to this one. I do think Arkansas is the start of the omens for them.
Jerry, you heard it.
I heard it.
You heard it.
I clipped it and everything.
Is Lane Kiffin not a good coach? Are they not the most all-time winningest they've ever been? Oh, huh?
You were getting on our case for being bullish on Ole Miss at the beginning of the season.
You can be a good coach and have a terrible team.
Anyway,
agree to disagree. One thing to consider. One thing to consider, and this is for all SEC games. The SEC has now required programs to release essentially an injury report on Thursday.
Yeah.
And so on the SEC Sports website, they do show that Arkansas listed 1 defensive lineman, 3 wide receivers, and 1 running back as out. Whereas Ole Miss only has 2 that are either out or questionable.
But the question is, are there players in that far apart in talent to where that's like a big deal? Like,
and it doesn't specify if they're like a starter, a backup, or anything like that. So I don't know, and I wish I knew more about these other programs. I just don't have the time. But I do see like Monte Harrison, Ismail Sis, I don't know, and Cam Settles are some of the offensive playmakers that are out. I just don't know if they're starters or not. But something to consider, that they are a little bit thinner, especially when they're on the road.
Is Simmons playing, or is he for Ole Miss quarterback?
He is not listed on this, so it looks like he's going to be playing.
Then they've got a fighting chance. If it was the backup, then yeah, I'd say there's no chance here. Yeah. We'll
Simmons was a question mark too his last game.
He was. There's no doubt about that. But let's get into the big matchups this week, guys. And I figure I need all the warm up I can get before I have to referee the debate that's going to happen between the two of y'all here in a little bit. So let's start off with let's go to Tennessee versus Georgia this week. And I'm going to give you guys some facts here that I jotted down about this game before I turn it over to you. So Georgia's 3.5-point favorite. Over under is 49.5. Right now, the experts are giving UGA a 54% to cover. Georgia's 2-0 coming in, took down Marshall and Austin Peay. Tennessee 2-0, taking down Syracuse and Eastern Tennessee State University. Right now, Tennessee has the number 3 ranked offense in the nation. They're doubling the average yards per gain right now. They're almost doubling that, and they're 27th in the nation right now in yards per carry at 5.7. Georgia averages about 6 yards per play, over 7 yards per pass attempt. But if we go to the other side of the ball, you've got Tennessee defense giving up only about 2.1 yards per carry. And then UGA is giving up only 61.5 rushing yards per game, about 2.1 yards per carry again. So my question to kick it off to both of you is the Georgia stat line skewed because they've only played Marshall and Austin P versus Tennessee stat line?
I'll say the stat lines. I don't think the stat lines are even what's concerning to me, because you do make a good point that they played, slanted competitions so far, but like this Tennessee offense just has a different breath about it this year. Like Nico, they had to fight through Nico. It felt like this year. This year, this does not feel like what's happening. Like it kind of feels like Aguilar is in sync with their scheme, in sync with their rhythm. They are not apprehensive about him at all. Star Thomas, by the way, Homer, Louisiana kid, out of this world performance right now. Like, I think he's going to have a 1,000-yard season if he keeps this up. And I mean, they're deep on offense. They have a lot of problems that Georgia has to cover here. And my only worry is this something where Josh Heupel just outcoaches himself? Like, comes into the game, and the game's too big for him, and Kirby Smart's even keel and getting his team just ready for another game is what pans out.
I mean, you're not wrong. I do think it is going to be if Coach Heupel can keep it together, because as of now, Tennessee is the most complete team if you're comparing between them and Georgia. I don't think the stat line is skewed like it's like what we see in Arkansas, because even though Georgia played Austin P, look how bad they looked against Austin P. Like I don't know if Georgia was just looking too far ahead to this game or what, but if I had to put my faith in an offense, I like the direction that Tennessee is going. I like how they look. And the fact that this is in Neyland Stadium, I think it's a tough environment for any program. I really do like Tennessee to win this game. And I looked at the injury report. I tried to see if there's anyone that of importance that's out. I'm not seeing anything. So these two teams should be essentially at full strength and should be battling this out. It should be a fantastic game.
Yeah, being that it's at Neyland Stadium, I think this is one of those games where Georgia's getting the benefit of the doubt because they are Georgia and the recent run of success that they've been on lately. And they're probably playing into the fact that Tennessee lost Nico, and they didn't know what they were going to have going into the year. But, Joey Aguilar, a guy that's from California, was recruited not by UCLA, but recruited and was at a smaller college in California. Essentially, the state of California and the state of Tennessee just did a quarterback swap. They sent Nico to California. Joey Aguilar comes over to Tennessee. But I think he had something to prove when he came over, being that he was in California, was like, I'm right here in UCLA, and these big schools over here didn't even recruit me. So he goes to Tennessee, has a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and now he's playing out against the best competition, in the nation as far as when you talk about SEC play. And I think this is going to be, if he hasn't already had a coming out party, I think this is going to be the coming out party for Joey Aguilar. National TV, 2:30 primetime spot. I think he lights it up against Georgia, and I expect them to win this game. I don't even think it's going to be a 3-point game. I think we're looking at a 7-point game here.
Now, what do you think though about, for example, I think one thing that like Georgia's definitely going to catch us on, and we'll be looking back at like why did we not think about that, is Georgia's defense, especially their front seven. They're big, they're fast. Most of them are in NFL type shape right now. They're led by C.J. Allen, who is a veteran linebacker. Like, this is a defense that is up to these kinds of challenges on paper. And is Tennessee's offense ready for a hiccup? like whenever somebody throws a monkey wrench into your first plan, what happens when you have to pivot? Are you good enough to overcome an SEC defense? Probably one of the best SEC defenses, again, on paper. We're only in week 3 coming up, so it's kind of hard to like commit to calling them that. But I don't. Do you? I think this could be something we look back at this episode and say, man, I just think we were way too harsh on this Georgia defense and didn't give them enough credit.
So you can
I don't think
look
so.
right here though, like you said, Georgia's defense is ranked number 7 in the nation right now. So yeah, you definitely might be onto something there for sure.
But I mean, like what you're showing right now, the comparison, even though Georgia has one of the best defense, Tennessee's still like it's more favorable for them with the yards per play, the rushing attempts, the passing yards, the completion, the QB rating, like essentially the statistics that matter. It's in Tennessee's favor. So I mean,
but against who did they stack that up against? Right? Who's there?
At least they played Syracuse. Who's
No. You could stop. That's it. That's enough.
Apples to apples here.
No.
Marshall
You
and
can't
Austin
say
Peay.
they achieved that status playing Syracuse, and that's the reason you think they're prepared to beat this Georgia team.
Then
how do you
put
that kind of disrespect on any SEC team?
Status playing Marshall and Austin Peay.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at the players,
either, sir.
I'm talking about the players. Like
same. Who do you think put the numbers up there? The players.
Yeah, I'm telling you now that's if that's your reasoning, I feel even better. I'm going Georgia now. If they fool somebody like Jerry, there's something going on here. Georgia's going to win this game.
Great, go with Georgia. You're going to be wrong again.
Wow,
won't be the first time either, or won't be the only time. Excuse me.
My lord, they have a win against Syracuse, and this boy is like they have to be the best team on the planet.
Oh my word, Georgia has a win against.
I guess
Marshall.
does foreshadow how he's going to make
Austin
Clemson. He's going to try to build a
stars.
Clemson win up so much because he needs these little cupcake games because it's turning out Clemson might be a cupcake game to be important.
Is that what Cody's going to fall back to every single week? Like Clemson this, Clemson. No one's mentioned Clemson. I'm talking about Tennessee, Georgia, sir.
Yeah, they beat a team that. Well, I'll tell you this: Syracuse might be better than Clemson. So you're right; they did beat a team that might be a little quality.
We'll find out about Clemson this week. They got their own little battle with Georgia Tech going on the road to Georgia Tech. By the way.
Oh yeah, they're going to lose that one.
That's also a Georgia Tech team that I found out was not predicted to win. I think more than 6 or 7 games this season.
I don't know.
Oh heck, we should have taken the over on that one. That was easy.
I would have bet the kid's inheritance on that one.
I forgot where I saw that, but I think people are just not high on the Haynes King ordeal right now.
Well, I
Haynes
don't know why.
King's the better pick than Calzada right now.
100%. All right, so getting into some of my territory here. You're going to have Texas A&M, number 16, going to South Bend, Indiana to take on number 8, Notre Dame. So some stats for you here. Notre Dame is favored by 6.5. Over/under is set at 49.5. Experts, shockingly, are giving Texas A&M a 54% chance to cover this game. Notre Dame is currently 0-1 right now. They lost on the road to Miami 27-24. Texas A&M 2-0, taking down Utah State and UTSA in blowout games. So some key facts for offense. Texas A&M is averaging 171 yards on the ground right now, 5 yards per rush, 8.7 yards per passing attempt. Notre Dame 3.3 yards per carry with only 93 rushing yards against Miami the other night. And then defense, Texas A&M did hold both teams they played to under 200 yards in both the air and the ground on average. They were giving up an alarming 4.1 yards per rush, though, so that's a scary statistic there. Notre Dame is stifling the run right now, 3 yards per carry, although they do give up 65% completion through the air. So before I turn it over to you guys, Texas A&M today came out with a video. They're going to debut the all-white Aggies script on the side of the helmet instead of the traditional ATM, block ATM. I'm all for it. I'm here.
I do like the script.
Do it.
How do y'all feel about new uniforms in really high stakes games though?
Are we talking about the Aggie all white with the script, or the Florida
be the
Gator
difference.
looking like an actual gator?
No, we're talking about like really high stake games, like this game here defining Texas A&M season, debuting a new uniform. That uniform will never be welcomed back again if Notre Dame wins this game.
I mean, you could say that
yeah.
in the same breath with any game. Like if they
It's-
were to lose to Appalachian State in an all-white uniform, they would never wear that uniform again.
Yeah, but
I
you
don't
have
care.
you have less chance losing to Appalachian State than you do
Oh, careful.
Notre Dame.
Careful. Careful.
All right, guys. All right, yeah. Let's take a step out of magical Christmas land where everything is so fun and whimsical.
Last time we played App State, it didn't go well. Okay. We'll say it.
Did Cody just? Does he have amnesia or something?
I don't know, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. We're done. So, good point though, because last year A&M debuted the all-black uniform against LSU, where we went all-black script on the side of the helmet. Had we lost
That was a clean look.
Everybody would have been like, "Oh, why are we even wearing black uniforms? That's not our colors. It's not maroon and white. What are we doing?" So, yeah,
That's what I'm saying. It's one thing to go like alternate combos, like if you're going to go white pants, white Texas A&M helmet, and then maroon jersey, or maroon white or something. That's cool. Mix it up, or all maroon. That's fine. I'm cool with that.
Very traditional, as we know. So the fact that it started with someone when he came in, and when you have somebody like Johnny Manziel that's playing and winning Heisman's, nobody cares what you could have wore pink uniforms and nobody would care, right? But now that we've come back down to earth a little bit from the Manziel era, yes, more the traditional, the donors have come back, the alumni have come back. No, we want the traditional look. So credit to Elko of kind of standing his ground here, saying, "Hey, we're gonna change things up a little bit. We're gonna see what happens." So all black this year, all white with a new helmet. I want to go back to a point that I think Cody had said where this game could potentially define the season. So I listened to Texas College Football Show earlier today, and the point he kept making was, this. I don't think this is a must-win game for A&M. It's okay if you lose it. It's okay. I am flabbergasted. My flabbers have been gasted of like, why are we even talking about how this is it's okay if you lose? Then why do we play the game? Why are we going to play the game if it's like, oh, it's okay if you lose, no big deal? No. Like, I'm not saying that, I don't know that I would go as far as saying this is a game that defines the season, but I'm not in the other boat where it's like, well, this is a game if you lose, you just go back to College Station like, oh, hey, we hung in there with Notre Dame. Way to go, guys. It's like, no. Then why are we even playing? Notre Dame is a very big brand when it comes to college football. We all know that, right? And they were in the national championship game last year. They're the runner-ups. So a win on the schedule would look great. A blowout win looks terrible. And I'm tired of this mindset that we have at Texas A&M that, well, we hung in there with the runner-ups from last year. It's like we're supposed to hang our hat on that?
You're absolutely right. That is a terrible mentality to have. And they must have been looking at the Notre Dame schedule, because this game for Notre Dame is the defining game for their schedule. Because if you look at it, they lost to Miami. They had a bye week in week 2. I mean, why? And then other than playing A&M, they don't have, as of now, they don't have another ranked opponent on their schedule. So if they want to have a chance to go back into the college football playoffs, it's now. Like, they have to beat A&M. And realistically, I don't think they can. They did not look great against Miami. Or rather, I take it back a little bit. I'm not convinced that they are a great team like they were last year with what I saw against Miami. And I do believe how important it is to have these early season games like what A&M had and Notre Dame missed. Like, yeah, you had Miami, you had a week off to recover, but you need that second game in your season to really try to put the pieces back together and be like, okay, here's a void, let's fix it. You don't have that, like, wiggle room. Again, like, you don't have it this year. And you're going against another top 25 opponent, a very good one that should be ranked higher, in my opinion, and they will be by the end of the season. But yeah, I mean, I like A&M to go to South Bend and win. I do think that the offensive coordinator just needs to make sure that they don't go too crazy with it. Because you and I both know, like, we've seen A&M try to be too big for their britches. If they just play the A&M way, they'll be fine.
I agree 100%. I think the big thing, if I'm looking at this game as an offensive coordinator, I'm looking at a defense with Notre Dame who's given up a 65% completion rate. Now, I know it's only one game so far, but that tells me.
And
hey,
remember, it's against Beck. Like, it's not against a nobody. Like, it's against someone that people
Right.
expect to be in the conversation for the Heisman, a high draft pick.
But I think we've got these, and Jerry, I know I said this in our Pick'em group chat earlier. When you look at the A&M receiving core, I'm gonna, like I said, I might be cooked for this at the end of the season, but A&M may end up with a top 3 receiving core in the SEC at the end of the season because you've got Casey Concepcion, you've got Mario Craver, you've got Terry Bussey, and you've got these athletic freaks on the outside. So I think this is a great bookmark, benchmark, whatever you want to call it, to see, can we go up against a secondary that it's supposed to be one of the better ones in college football, and can we still see those receivers get that separation? Can we still make the passes when we need to? Do we not just have to rely on trying to power run the ball right up the middle? But before you start on that, Jerry, I think my big point that I'm watching this game to see, all great coaches talk about special teams game. So I think that's where the difference is going to be for A&M. We're currently right now 11th in the nation as far as punt return yards and 15th as far as kick return yards go. So obviously we've got the capability to hit some big home runs in the special team game. I will say this, if I am Colin Klein, I am emphasizing when we go out, when we get in the red zone or we get in a scoring opportunity, we have to finish drives with touchdowns, not field goals. Our kickers are only hitting 50% of kicks right now. So I don't want to leave it up to the kicker. I'm sorry. If it's 4th and short and you're inside the 30, let's go. Let's just try to get this thing in the end zone. Field goals aren't going to win this game.
Agreed. But, I mean, take it how y'all wanted. I'm looking at offense versus defense for both Notre Dame offense versus A&M defense. Essentially all in favor of A&M's defense. Flip it around, all in favor of A&M's offense. Take it how you want. I know A&M didn't play really tough opponents. Notre Dame only played one opponent. I'm still picking A&M.
Like, this is another game where I got to say, like, the opponents don't even matter. They might as well not even be in the question. One played, the difference between Miami and the combined strength of the other two teams is so incredible that they have to be just thrown in the trash. Like, we can't. This is what makes this game so interesting to me, though, is like, you can't sit here and say that, like, oh, well, A&M is on a roll with their, like, for example, Marcel Reed this year, I mean, on a great path. I think his rating right now is 172 overall. So a huge jump from last year's rating. But again, the opponents just aren't the same. And then, like, we're looking at Notre Dame's defense and comparing it to a team that everyone's expecting to make a national championship run that they had to play against game 1 of the season. So I just find it hard to look at these stats and think of anything. And then it breaks back down to roster. And my problem with A&M is still Marcel Reed. Because in the big moments, he just doesn't seem to have the poise that he probably needs to have in these things. And I think Smart does a good job in these moments preparing his guys to be at least stoic in these types of situations. Like, hey, it's just another down. Go out there, perform. Don't let the cameras, don't get the lights get to you. This is a Notre Dame team that's being led by, I think, a great coaching staff. I don't think Elko's any chump in this either. I think Notre Dame squeezes out a win here. I think A&M comes in and hits hard. I do, but I just don't think they're ready to lose in South Bend to start the season off.
And here's my rebuttal to it. I mean, look how close it was last year in Kyle Field when you had a far superior Notre Dame team versus at the time, just a decent A&M team.
A big question mark is what A&M was week 1 last year. No quarterback, didn't know who the
hold on. How many returning receivers are we talking right now for A&M?
I don't know if there's many, but there's
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is objectively not the same A&M team either.
That's exactly what I'm saying, though. Like, if you are comparing the teams, and because like the only constant that has happened is that they're both having essentially their second string quarterback be the starting quarterback. The key difference is in favor of A&M because their starting quarterback had essentially half a season to get more loose and more experience. And then A&M was able to keep it close to a Notre Dame team that I'm sure all of us would agree. If you were comparing Notre Dame of last year to Notre Dame this year, Notre Dame last year would kick just all the way down the road and back this Notre Dame team.
Yeah, playoff
year.
Notre Dame would, but would week 2 Notre Dame do that?
Yes.
No. That team got way better as the road down the road for the whole season, right? Like,
okay,
we're not going to be.
Let's compare week 1 to week 1. Who are you picking for Notre Dame from week 1 of last year to week 1 of this year?
What you mean?
Like, if you had to be like, okay, I have to choose one Notre Dame team based off of these 2 years. You have 2024 and 2025.
Yeah, obviously I take the one that went to the national championship, Jerry. Duh.
No. I'm not saying that. Not saying natty. Just after the week 1 performance, who are you choosing? Are you more bullish on the 2024 season or the 2025?
Well, I don't know, because I'm going to be honest with you. They start the same way almost every single year. They always hang in there with a quality opponent, and then they just don't really get it done, and then suddenly they're in the playoffs and rolling over people to the national title. That was last year, right? But still, I don't know. I don't think anyone, especially Aggie fans, should get caught up in the numbers here. Like, this is going to be very much a vibes game. Like, how do you feel about your team's willingness to go into a hostile environment and steal this one from a team that just went to national title?
Hold on. Okay, hold on. Hostile environment. You know the capacity of Notre Dame Stadium?
I think it's like 54,000.
Doesn't matter. You guys have to leave Texas.
Absolutely matters.
You guys are very much homebodies. So
Sir,
if you're going to
Allen
go
high school down the road seats 100,000 people in a 6A high school stadium.
And think of it this way: you lost one of your advantages last year that you didn't finish with. Like, right? The team could.
That's true.
You lost your 100,000 man advantage now, so it's gone. The 13th man's gone, or 12th man's gone.
What does Notre Dame bring to the table?
How many people? What does Notre Dame? It brings the absence of Texas A&M's biggest advantage in this phase of the season, which is their home field.
Their biggest strength is A&M's stadium.
That's why home and away matters, right? Or do we just not talk about that from now on? We'll just pretend like it doesn't matter.
Don't forget touchdown Jesus. But
touchdown Jesus is there.
He is there.
There's also, there's one in New Orleans too, but no one talks about that
around Notre Dame, and I get this from the college football game, so here comes my nerd coming out in me. The hashtag for Notre Dame in that game is "Wake Up the Echoes," and that's what that is. That's a historical, like when you walk into the stadium, you're like, oh, this is a really historical place. Like all the national championships, the teams they had in the past. But I'm sorry, nobody looks at that Notre Dame stadium and goes, ooh, that's a hostile environment. Wouldn't want to play there.
As someone that has visited the place, I absolutely agree with Kyle.
It's hostile in the fact that there's no A&M fans. That's what I'm saying.
It's like hostile in the fact that they're having splinters out of their butts because they still using wooden bleachers.
I'll give you that. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Come on. I mean, like, if we're going to say on this podcast today, from now on, home field advantage, we'll just pretend it doesn't matter. Well, I could agree to that, I guess. But like,
no.
I know you guys don't want to do that, so
it does matter. But when we're talking about a stadium of 54,000 people versus going into Death Valley at night, yeah, 54,000 people doesn't scare.
But you agree, being on the road still matters. Like the fact that you're not home,
100%.
Especially when your team still has question marks or like the ball still.
It all depends on the opponent. Like, look at Southern Miss versus Mississippi State. Mississippi State went to Southern Miss. Are we saying that home field advantage was that big of an advantage?
Okay, so we're talking what, 6 states away? Not that many probably, but like it's a distance to Indiana from College Station. It's definitely not Mississippi to Mississippi. Like, so let's slow. Okay, that's a little different, right? Like we don't have to draw apples to apples there.
Right.
And seeing what they put on the field, I like A&M's quarterback situation more. I like their offense more. I do not think Notre Dame is like they're going to make it seem a whole lot more impressive on TV, but I just don't think that Notre Dame's offense is going to be able to do much.
You mean? Did you say A&M or Notre Dame? Like you said, did you say both?
Notre Dame's offense not able to do much.
Okay. Well, I think they did really well against a Miami team that I think would beat the dog crap out of all of our teams right now. And I'll get the chance to prove that to all of y'all next week. So
yes, you will. Yes, you will.
But
enough of this. All right, I've limbered up. I'm ready to play referee here. Here we go. If we had Bruce Buffer, this would be great. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. It is our first in-studio matchup. We've got LSU taking on Florida. Let me give you the stats before I let you two run wild here. LSU's 7.5 point favorite. Over under 47.5. Experts leaning towards LSU right now, almost 60%. LSU 2-0, took down Clemson 17-10, took down Louisiana Tech 23-7. University of Florida 1-1. Long Island University shutout 55-0. Saw the heartbreak last week going down to South Florida 16-18. So offensively, LSU 70% completion so far this year. They've totaled 360 yards of offense through 2 games on average. They have the 16th highest number of passing attempts at 40 per game. So 40 times they're putting the ball in the air. But here's the thing for Florida. You've only given up 1 sack per game in 2 games now. However, you just haven't been able to get much going into run game so far, only averaging 166 on the ground. Defensively, LSU is 12th in the nation, 2 yards per rush, under 2 yards per rush. And Florida defense is averaging 156 yards given up through the air, which is 37th best in the nation. So, you do have that going for you. So, when you just look at it and you see that Florida's coming off a loss and you see how LSU has been so far, you're like, all right, LSU wins this game easily. But then I went back and I looked at the stats where I pulled all this from, and I was like, well, it's not as lopsided as you would think if you look at it from a statistical perspective. So, Jerry, let me open up the discussion with a question to you first. Are you concerned that your offense is considered a power spread offense, but that offense did struggle against Louisiana Tech? So now that you're facing a much tougher defense in Florida, how concerned are you that the offense couldn't really mesh against Louisiana Tech?
I would be concerned if we had we were going up against the same Florida defense like we did last year. It was brought up multiple times at Matt Moscona's After Further Review on ESPN in Baton Rouge, how Florida had, I think, 7 or 8 impact players. The majority of them were on the defensive line that caused 7 sacks. And even though LSU led in nearly all statistical categories for the game, Florida was still able to win the game, obviously. They were very opportunistic getting the sacks. They got key turnovers to make the difference for a Florida victory. But that was last year. I think out of those 7 or 8, they mentioned just 1 returning.
That's false. Florida has a 68% return rate on defense this year.
No. I'm talking about out of the 7 that were a key player during that LSU.
Well, Caleb
Florida
Banks
game.
had 2.5 sacks against Joe, and he's back this game. He didn't play last game.
So there it is. So Caleb Banks is
and Tyreek Sapp played as well, but I don't know how many sacks he had last year. But Tyreek Sapp is back as well. So is Gums. Gums played last year, and he's back.
Well, I'm not saying that they didn't return a few people on defense, but the key players that made an impact play or a few in that game, there's only like 1 or 2 returning, or 1 or 2 that are going to be playing in the game. The other one, Jack Pyburn, was part of that 7. He is now to LSU.
No, Pyburn. Okay, real quick. Pyburn was a rotation player in that, and he came in on non-third downs. He was a second down player. I don't think you're listening
to me. He made impact plays in the game.
Look up that game.
I'm giving your team a compliment.
Look up the game. Well, be correct. I'll take the correct compliments, but Jack Pyburn was not an impact player for us last year.
Oh my God, Cody. When it comes to like the sacks and the turnovers, he played an impact role with it.
By doing what?
by being on the play, by making the sack, by causing a turnover, or causing a pressure.
He had one
causing
sack
something
last
with
year
it.
total, I think. Like,
It's like talking to a chimpanzee from Japan.
I'm sorry, you're the one telling me his stats when I don't see those stats. He had
Kyle,
one.
can you talk some sense into this gentleman here?
I'm sorry,
you
Kyle. If
understand
he
what I'm
throws
saying,
out
right?
stats, do they have to be right, or can we just make them up?
Like, you understand what I'm saying, though, right?
We do hang our hat on truth in this podcast and transparency. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Because I can make some stats up too. I could do that really readily. But if he's going to say stats, I'd like them to be correct. Because he's trying to minimize the presence of the current defenders on Florida. He's thinking it's a compliment. I know it's an underhanded compliment. And he's thinking that one of the guys who transferred to Florida is very impactful, when last year, I think he only got 4 snaps against LSU. And none of them were sacks.
I'm just going to let Cody badmouth himself.
No, because he was our third string rotational guy. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, everyone made a big deal about Pyburn leaving for you guys. And we're like, okay, bye. Like, I guess the practice squad lost at starter, and we'll have to fill somebody in whenever we need to give somebody second down off. But okay.
Well, since we're on the trend of things that Cody should be concerned about, or at least in Jerry's eyes. So Cody, I looked up, found this via covers.com. Right now, through 2 games, University of Florida is averaging 61 penalty yards per game. Is this concerning for you, knowing that in these big games, it's usually the teams that make the least amount of mistakes wins a game?
Yeah, it is. That's pretty bad, and that's actually symptomatic of this tenure that we've had. I think against those are all from USF. I think they went 0 penalties against Long Island.
Oh wow,
I remember them saying that in the middle of the broadcast, that they went no penalties against Long Island, and now they've got them all against USF. So that's not great. And now, if you want to just pile it up to a bad day, a lot of us are trying to find that kind of reasoning for it, and obviously there's reasons to think that too, because how many times will Napier mess up the clock like that bad? Surely not more than once. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm kind of excited to say it's the first time I've seen a manager clock that bad in 3 years. But secondly, yeah, the unnecessary penalties definitely played in to it, and of course, Lagway is the actual concern, right? So we're all watching Lagway, and we're like, this is not the energy he had last year. So what is happening right now?
Yeah.
Is he still hurt? Did he fail to develop? Is the offense reverting back to Merch 2.0? Because that's one thing you said that could be a backhanded stat, right? Hey, we only allowed, 1 sack, I think you said? It was the first play of the season. We allowed that sack. Okay, it's probably because he's getting the ball out in 2 seconds to the bubble screen, or 2 seconds to the flare out.
Yeah.
Or like less than 2 seconds to the flare out, or like the RPO, and he's just making the quick read. I mean, we already know how that works in the SEC. Like, it just doesn't. You'll nick your way down to the first touchdown, and after that, that's probably it. Then it's not going to work. You have to change it.
Their defenses are, I'm not going to say they're fine, but they're comfortable giving up those little 2 and 3 yard passes until you get down to the red zone or inside, the 30. Then they'll tighten up a little bit, and they won't see those windows as much anymore.
But the good news, there is good news, is that Florida does have a productive offense. They just didn't finish in the red zone. And that's what really hurt, too, is seeing these running backs all carry a really good load, Jaden Baugh, who was a great performer in the LSU game last year, is back, and he is the leading bell cow running back. They've made no mystery of that. He's averaging 7.3 yards a carry right now. Would have been a great way to pay him back for his 18 carries that last game to win it. But here we are. But he spelled really well too, and that's a big deal, right? Like, Jacoby Jackson's a senior, and he's the spell back, and he's a very physical runner. We got to figure out what DJ Lagway shows up, because we can't have a sluggish DJ Lagway. He has to be a threat with his legs, at least enough to freeze backers. And if he can't do that, then I don't know. We might be in trouble. Like, Tramel Jones Jr. might have to get subbed in for some of those packages that just scare them into thinking he could take off.
Well, hey,
And that's the key
he
difference that I
wasn't
see
accused.
difference.
People have taken videos of him while he's going to the bathroom or whatever Sark said last week. That was.
Sarkisian said something?
Oh, you didn't see that? Oh no. Okay, I got a sense. Yeah, so a reporter asked Sarkisian, Arch Manning was making faces when he's throwing the ball. He's got to be in some kind of pain. And he's
Oh my
like,
God, yeah.
you saw that? Yeah. So Sark
Yes.
was like, I don't take videos of you guys while you're going to the
Yeah,
bathroom. It's like, wait, what?
that's his
What did he say?
Mike Gundy moment right there.
Oh,
I'm a man.
Goodness. Oh my goodness, that was so bad. So bad. Anyway, so continuing on the trend of maybe lack of enthusiasm or lack of motivation. So Jerry, going back to the LA Tech game, we all talked. That's not what we would have expected to come out of LSU when you go play a team like LA Tech. Are you concerned that maybe LSU is hanging their hat too much on the defense right now? Of like, look at our nice shiny defense. Look what they've been able to do, and that they played down to the level of their opponent last week.
Not necessarily. I mean, when you have a defense as productive as they have been these last two games, it allows your offense to be more risky, because like if it's high risk, high reward, but if you have a defense that bends but doesn't break, by all means do it. The big issue that LSU had, and I'm not big on hanging my hat on injuries, but it's still something to mention because offensive line is such a team dynamic kind of position. When you have your starting center, Braylon Moore, go down with a game-ending injury in the first snap, or at least the first drive, that does mess up with the cohesiveness, because then you have your guards going to centers or guards going to tackles going to guards, all that kind of stuff. So there is a bit of a difference with that. The other thing with it is there was a night and day difference between the offense we saw against Clemson and the offense we saw against Louisiana Tech. There was a lot more, not necessarily like risky plays, but it wasn't the short to intermediate passes that we saw against Clemson. So they were taking shots downfield, but in the big scheme of things, the team was not focused for Tech. I truly believe that they were looking ahead. They were thinking that they could just cakewalk in through Tech and just focus on Florida, and they shouldn't have, because it does raise a lot of red flags. But when you have a defense like LSU has, you are able to have more offensive mistakes. And seeing how good their defense has been this year, I know the offense will get there. I do hope that it is against Florida. And it's a concern because Braylon Moore is probable and Trey'Dez Green is questionable. A lot of people in Baton Rouge are saying they should sit Braylon Moore, they should sit Trey'Dez Green, because after Florida, I believe LSU has Southeastern, and then they have a bye week before going to Ole Miss. So it makes all the sense in the world to not necessarily risk it, but you don't want to have a repeat, like a more lingering injury for someone that is essentially your best offensive lineman and one of the best tight ends in the nation in Trey'Dez Green.
I want to give a little stat shout out to some things before we move on from that point, because Trey'Dez Green has 2 receptions for 17 yards, and he's the best tight end in the country. Versus Florida's tight end, Hayden Hansen, has 6 for 67 and a touchdown. And he's an inch taller than Trey'Dez Green.
Fantastic. He's still considered one of the best. What did
Trey'Dez Green do last year? I'm just curious. What was his stats last year?
LSU Florida, you can't talk to Cody.
Oh, he didn't. He only got 13 receptions last year. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. So he's considered one of the best in the nation by LSU fans. Fair enough. I guess so. That's not really too strange. So is Garrett Nussmeier. Now, without looking at the stats, who do you think has had a better season so far, Garrett Nussmeier or DJ Lagway?
Probably Lagway.
Lagway has had a very good season compared to him. He beats him in completion percentage, average yards per pass, QBR, touchdowns, and sacks.
Sir, this is a family show.
Thank God it's audio at the moment. I mean, great.
So
Gold star for
and
Bagway.
yes, we have a loss. That is true. But it's to a team that now has 2 ranked victories versus Clemson, who has 0 as y'all's biggest quality win. And I don't know, man. This is what scares me about this game is just that the only thing that honestly scares me is it's Tiger Stadium. It's hard to win in Death Valley at nighttime. The Gators have done it before, but it's not necessarily like, oh, it's a regular occurrence, right? Aaron Anderson might be their biggest X factor. I don't think he gets enough credit for some of the things he's able to do. He's very good at this limited offense that they seem to like to run where they just sit underneath the coverage. It's kind of like, I think he's going to be good in the NFL because that's a lot of what coverage route running is in the NFL these days. As far as their running attack goes, I think Florida's defense can handle it as long as Caleb Banks stays healthy. And as far as their pass defense goes, I think we have enough speed to go underneath them. And if they don't want to go underneath, we'll go over them with we have size on our offense as well. So
I think you just answered the last question that I had for you, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway because I wrote it down on my script. So, despite our concern that we've had on the show so far that Florida has not been able to push the ball down the field, they do average, on average, 7 yards per attempt on their passes. So, you kind of touched on it there, but just to hit on it again a little bit, do you think LSU has seen it on tape where they're like, yeah, they are scared to push the ball down the field. We're just going to play press all night long and force them to beat us? Or do you think we're going to just hover around the 5-yard line, 5 yards back off the line?
I don't think that's a very good idea. I think with that 3-3 defense they like to play, where they like to do the disguise system with it, they have to sometimes play back. And if they can't press and do that at the same time, right? Like there has to be, because if they do that, then these speedy receivers for Florida are just going to run underneath them. Right. Vernell Brown and Eugene Wilson are very good at taking what you give them, especially slants. And if they keep playing press, then you're just setting yourself up to get beat deep, I think. And maybe like someone like Aiden Mizell, if he's healthy, can come back and pull that off. But Florida's not, that's just not how they play anyway. They're going to want you to walk up to the line because they're going to try to attack their linebackers head on, and they don't want them to have any support. Florida has 2 returning linemen, one of which is an All-American on their offensive line, and one of which is all SEC. Could probably be All-American at the end of the year. We'll see. So they're going to want to be physical up the middle. And they're going to want to challenge these linebackers because at the end of the day, it's blows that matter, right? So if they're running at them with this corral and sucking the defense in, finally buying those receiver space, they have a chance in this. The other thing is they're going to have to let LSU beat themselves, which LSU's not necessarily famous for. Granted, it's their coach is usually famous for. They're gonna have to let
Cody
them
took
make
the words out of my mouth with that one. I think this is gonna be more of a coaching game than a player game.
And I really do think that's like our biggest thing we have to do. We have to let them put Nussmeier in a situation he shouldn't be in. He's gonna make a panic decision because they didn't give him the resources or the plays to handle what Florida showed, and he just has to throw into it. So he's going to hike the ball, and whoops, there's 2 extra people coming that he wasn't able to call mics on, or the coverage is just not what it looked like it was going to be. Those are the kind of things Florida's going to have to try to take advantage of.
All right. We've done all the debating. At the end of the day, Death Valley at night. Cody, final prediction. You got Florida or you got LSU?
I'll go Florida 28, LSU 27.
Nice. Jerry?
I mean, his close prediction is pretty spot on for this LSU Florida rivalry. Like other than like 2023, it's always been essentially a 1-score game. So I do think it's going to be close. I don't like LSU for 7. Give me LSU 4. I think they could win it.
I was going to say 24-21 is the final score, but I honestly don't know who's going to win this game. I think it's going to be one worth watching, and that's why, like I said, the quad box is going to come in nice Saturday evening.
Yeah,
trying to keep up with.
I didn't even talk about how much I think Napier could screw this up, but he could screw this up pretty bad.
Oh, any coach could screw this up for sure. Like if we get the same offensive calling that we did against Louisiana Tech, because like I do hope for Florida's sake they study the film against Clemson, because if there is a game that they have played so far that mirrors what Florida's offense is closer to, it's Klubnik and Clemson. And seeing how Napier seems to have a ball and chain around Lagway's foot and not allowing him to scramble more than he did last year, I think that's a negative for Florida.
That's another thing. They have to avoid this pistol offense. Like, don't send, or like either that or like the play action just has to be on spot this game. If the play action isn't there, the pistol isn't there. And so, like, I can see Florida maybe even giving this game, giving the first drive up, just to run the ball at LSU 3 times in a row, just to be like, hey, you have to respect the run out of this, and then try to hit them with play action. But again, that's a Napier thing to do, so I hope it doesn't happen.
Well, all the talking, we still got one more day to the lead up here. But all the talking has been done here in the studio. We've thrown the barbs, the shots back and forth, and now it is time to just go out there, strap it up, and let's see football here. So we will be back with y'all Sunday to recap everything that happened in this coming weekend. Hopefully, I'll be happy. I can't say the same. One of my counterparts here is not going to be very happy. So we'll see who that is. Make sure you tune in for that. We will see you guys next week. So long.